Really?
It's diabolical. Yeah, if it ain't got no seeds in there, I could drink it. So drinking something and that seed.
How's it going, brother?
I ain't your brother, but I'm all right. How you doing?
Well, look, I'm probably gonna blow everything up in here. I will grant you all the melanin that you want. I wore my shirt here. This is from my boy Anabiel the servant. He's a Hebrew Israelite, and he's
a horrible Israelite.
Huh?
He's a horrible Israelite.
Why is that?
Because he gave you that shirt.
Why is that?
He shouldn't have gave you that shirt.
Why?
Why should he have given you that shirt?
I'm all for the melanin.
You know why we have to make that shirt?
Why?
Because your ancestors changed the image of that shirt.
Yeah, Caesar Borgia, I know.
Yeah. Enslaved. I'll
grant all of it to you.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, one note on the ancestry thing, I actually have my great grandmother's Cherokees, so that makes me Gad, right?
On your father's side?
On my father's side, yeah.
But is your father's? If it's on your father's side,
it's on my father's side.
Yeah, but you know, y'all $5 Indians and shit.
Oh, is that what?
We don't know, because so just so you know, like, let's say if we was to trace your lineage, right, and it was on your father's side, we would not deny you. So
okay.
Because we don't go by melanin.
Okay.
So we don't look for people to have the darkest skin to be one of us.
So I can't wear the shirt.
I don't know yet, man.
Why don't you know yet?
Because you said your mother's side first.
No, my father's side.
But is it on your father's? Is it your father's mother?
It's my father's great grandmother.
Right. So if it's the mother,
I'm not sure which.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So like, if you said if it's your father's great grandfather, then you might have a chance. But you said it's your father's grandmother. So the Bible doesn't go maternally; it goes paternally.
Okay.
So that's why. So you could, have that little $5 shit, but
okay.
You ain't got the $100.
So the reason why I bring it up, so Anabiel actually, he gave me this shirt because he wrote the theme song to a movie I made.
Okay.
And the movie is actually, I love that we're talking about all the creatures in the last prompt, because the movie's what would Jesus do about all
from
creatures?
California?
Huh?
You from California?
I'm actually from the South, dirty South, Atlanta, Georgia.
South?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So my question, look, and I'll do this too. Actually, I'll grant you Jesus is the Son of the Most High God. How about that? Because I want to talk about who he is, not who he's not. I don't want to talk about metaphysical realities and debating hypostatic union and all that. So this is what I want to talk. Who is Jesus all throughout the scripture? Jesus, what's the
I would
name?
say all throughout the scripture.
I'm literally talking about a title. What's his historical title?
I would say he's second in the hierarchy. You have the Father, you have the Son.
No, I'm saying if you literally open your Bible right now and you open up every time that you see, and by the way, is it Jesus or Yahushua or
we would say
Yeshua?
Yahweh.
Okay. Yeah. Is it okay if I say Jesus?
Yeah, when I'm teaching on platforms that don't know the name of Christ, I just say Christ or I say Jesus. But if I was talking amongst my brothers, we would say Yahweh.
But if you open your King James, because you use King James, if you open up King James, every single instance where the name Jesus is, what's the title connected to it? Jesus.
Well, it depends, because Jesus is just Joshua.
Yeah.
So Jesus in the New Testament is Joshua in the Old, like in Acts 7 and 37.
I got that, but I'm saying his literal title.
Oh, the Christ. Is that what you're looking for?
Does it say Jesus the Christ in the New Testament? I'm talking about in the Gospels when Jesus is walking around doing his ministry.
If you can get to me to what you're saying.
Okay. Jesus of Nazareth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk about the historical man.
Okay.
And what he literally did and who he literally was.
Okay.
So I got some questions about that.
What's up?
The New Testament is translated from Greek, correct? Yeah. So behind Jesus of Nazareth in your King James is actually Jesus the Nazarene or Jesus the Nazarene, which actually doesn't indicate someone
said the same
from
phrase twice.
Nazarene and Nazarene. It's different vowels, in the Greek forms.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, I'm glad you brought that up because the second vowel in Nazarene, it actually can't point to someone from Nazareth. It has no indication of denoting a place that someone's from. Okay. It's a sectarian title, actually. Okay. So the Nazarene. So that's what I want to get to is the black. And you said Black Hebrew Israelite is a misnomer because I got a prompt. That
it's used derogatory. So you might see Israelites of my type use the term Black Hebrew Israelite, but it was born out of disrespect to us.
Okay.
So as we start being made more known, they say, "Oh, that's the Black Israelites over there."
Oh yeah,
that's what they would say.
And particularly the black, the Crayola color.
I don't know
because you're
what
not
color
black.
they
You're
are.
like
Right.
you're
So I don't
beautiful
even
caramel.
get the point of Black Hebrew Israelites because we believe that blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians are Israelites.
Okay.
So it's not just black people for us. We have Mexicans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. It's a whole 12 tribes of us, Cubans, Guatemalans, Panamanians. So it's not just black people for us.
Okay. So what I'm getting to is, do you think Jesus the Nazarene, would you agree that he's a Nazarene?
Yep, that's what it say.
What's going on your phone? You texting somebody?
No, go ahead. I'm listening, man. Okay. Come on with it, man. Come on with it, man. Come on with
Jesus the Nazarene, would he follow the practices that you and would you call yourself a sect?
The Israelites, yeah, he would fight. We do everything that Christ did.
Okay, so Christ practiced the Passover. Because here's what we're getting down to it now. I got a bone to pick with you.
What's your bone?
Specifically a shank bone. Did Jesus eat the Passover?
Did he do what?
Did he eat the Passover?
Yes.
Where's your proof?
When they kept the Passover, they couldn't keep it with the Jews. They had to do it separately in the temple. Not only him, I think you could see Paul kept the Passover.
But where in any scripture does it say that Jesus ate the Passover?
Matthew's the 28th chapter. That's when they gathered together for the Passover.
And what was on the table?
I'm not specific. I would have to read it again.
You're talking about the Last Supper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bread and wine, or the juice of grapes, is probably not pretty low alcohol to non-alcoholic wine, right? So
Jesus drank wine. What you talking about?
Very minimally.
They called him a wine bibber.
Oh yeah. That was an accusation. He didn't say that.
Listen, his first recorded miracle was what?
Changing the water to wine.
Yeah, he drank.
Right, but they added a little bit of wine to the water. We're getting off topic now. This is what I want to talk about. He added a little bit of water, wine to the water because
that was the best wine they ever had.
Ancient days,
wasn't a little bit of wine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get back on top. My point is this: the Nazarenes are recorded historically across the board as not accepting the Passover lamb and not eating it, period, because they believed it was unlawful to God. So Epiphanius, the church father, which I actually heard you use this against Jay Dyer. You were referring to the Nazarenes and the Ebionites for their Christology, which is the debate that we're having right now.
Yeah, I think I was showing examples of they didn't all agree.
The adoptionist Christology. Right. But would you agree that these groups, the Nazarene, Jesus was a Nazarene. This is his actual religious connotation. This is his sect, if you will, or his club, like you have yours, right? Yes or no?
I wouldn't call it a club. We call ourselves a school.
Drinking is not a sin, by the way.
That's great. School of the Nazarene.
That's it.
Epiphanius says in Panarion 18 that the Nazarenes were just like the Hebrews in every order. And in fact, they claimed descendants from Israel himself. So you'll like that. However, there was one key difference. They would not offer sacrifice or eat flesh because they believed it was unlawful to do so.
Well, I think some of them didn't eat meat at all.
Right.
That's not Christ, because Christ ate fish. We know he ate fish.
Okay.
So I don't have to see recorded that whether what he had.
We'll talk about the fish, but I want to talk about the Passover because I know
I'm coming back too.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't need to see recorded. I just know that they gathered for the Passover. So they're gathering for the Passover, and he chose to highlight because the only reason you're talking about the bread and the wine is because that's what he highlighted. So as he's highlighting the bread and the wine, that does not negate that they didn't have the lamb of the Passover, because we know he kept all the feast days, even when he was coming up.
But is it the Feast of Passover or the Feast of Unleavened Bread?
It's both. Because they both happened back to back. That's what I was going to bring up. When he was 12, he kept the Passover. That's when he stayed back in the temple.
Right.
And his parents had to come back and get him. So he's always kept the Passover.
Okay.
So I don't need it to read. If it read that he didn't keep the Passover, I could probably argue with you. I might agree with you. But we don't read that he did not keep the Passover. Okay. So when you want to use what the Nazarenes come and do and then try to say Jesus was a Nazarene, so he did the same thing that these Nazarenes did, I would disagree, because you can't show me where he did not eat lamb.
The Last Supper.
No, you're assuming that he did not eat lamb because he didn't mention the lamb. No, I'm not assuming.
I can use historical
data. The reason why he would not mention the lamb is because who would be the lamb as he's talking?
Well, in a metaphorical sense himself. Is that what you're saying?
Thank you. Okay. So he don't have to mention the lamb that they would be eating because he's the lamb.
Well, he's not the one mentioning it in the Gospels. He's not the one literally writing the gospel. But here's the point.
So the ones that's literally writing it didn't have to mention it because he didn't have to say it because he is the lamb.
Well, in all four gospels, they have him. And unfortunately, John and the synoptics disagree a little bit on the timing of the Last Supper. I'm sure you know that, right? Some of them say that it's happening during the slaughter of the lamb. Some of them saying it's happening during the actual meal or the feast. The point is this. Like I said, Epiphanius records that the Nazarenes rejected sacrifice, full stop, no flesh consumption.
What
full
year
stop.
is this? Well, Epiphanius wrote this.
Oh, it's 3rd or 4th century. It's late,
right?
But,
so that's 300 to 400 years
right,
later.
But
you want that to apply to Christ,
yeah,
because Christ doesn't say this lamb represents this.
Right, because we can pair it with more data within the gospel. So Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, what does he do? He turns the tables on the sacrificial system, flips the whole thing down.
But before that, he kept the Passover.
Huh?
That's
before the Passover.
Seeing that we
no. What I'm saying, he kept the Passover when he was a kid. He kept the Passover since he was a kid.
Says where?
In Luke the 2nd chapter, when that's what you ain't just hear me just paraphrase that. In Luke the 2nd chapter, when his parents went up for the Passover, remember he stayed back. That's Luke 2, but
I can save you time. Does it say anything about them eating a lamb?
It doesn't have to. That's my point. So this is Luke 2:41.
But now you just said it's the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover.
Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. So we know what the Passover entails.
Right.
So the specifics that you're asking for, I don't have to provide. I just have to provide.
Okay. I'll provide you some better specifics for my thesis. Can I do that? Okay.
Wait.
Ready?
When you go, just provide and show that Christ did not eat lamb. Like it has to say that.
Yep.
Because here's what I can stand on.
I got you.
Passover requires a certain meal to have, a certain way to eat it. If Christ is keeping it since his youth, you would have to show me where he stopped doing it that way.
I got you.
In the Bible.
I got you.
No problem.
All right, just subscribe, like we're gonna do more of these, you know what I mean? Reactions, you know what I mean? So look forward to more interesting videos like these, you know what I mean?
So
you was a lot more cooler than the other ones.
Yeah, in John 10:10.
Asian, you wasn't that bad.
In John 10:10, Jesus says the enemy comes to what? Steal, kill, and destroy. But I've come to bring life and life abundantly. That word kill is the Greek thuo, which literally means animal sacrifice, period. That's what it means. So he's saying that work is of the enemy, of the adversary. I've come to bring life and life abundantly. The good shepherd lays his life down for the sheep. Now, what's happening that week? It's Passover week, like you said. The sheep are descending on the temple. Everybody's bringing their animals. What does Jesus do? He rolls into the temple. He throws down. He says, this house is meant to be a house of prayer for all nations, by the way. But you have made it a den of thieves, right?
Right.
Well, who's he quoting when he calls it a den of thieves?
Before we get to the den of thieves.
No, hold on. I want to pride you.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
He's quoting Jeremiah.
Okay.
Jeremiah 7:11.
Right. But that goes to what I was going to say. So if I go with your argument and just make that Greek word apply specifically to what you're saying about the sacrifice.
Well, you don't make it. It literally is what it means.
I'm just saying I'm not going to argue with you about it. That still wouldn't go against my question to you about showing Christ keeping the Passover.
Well, I'm about to tell you.
What he's saying
I'm about
is
to tell you.
What he would call the Pharisees.
Yeah.
He would call them hypocrites all throughout.
I got you. You ready?
So then with that sacrifice and calling them thieves, he's calling them hypocrites. So that still doesn't mean that.
That's the point.
But
so
that still doesn't mean that Christ did not
quotes
keep
Jeremiah
the Passover.
7:11. Jeremiah 7:11. Jeremiah is critiquing the Passover animal sacrifice, and he says, "You've made my father's house a den of parits," or paritzim is the plural. It's a Hebrew. Paritzim means violent one, shedder of blood, or murderer.
Did they still keep the Passover?
Well, Jesus. So check this out. You're a Hebrew
I'm
Israelite.
asking about Jesus. I'm talking about the Pharisees. Did the Pharisees still keep the Passover?
The Pharisees, they were debating on that.
Right. During that time. Right. Because they still kept the Passover, right?
Right.
Did Christ keep the Passover with them?
No.
But he still kept the Passover, right?
No. So Christ was a Nazarene.
Christ.
No.
So it says they gathered for the Passover, but you're telling me
the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So that's what I'm trying to get at.
Don't say Feast of Unleavened Bread.
It says both. In Luke it says,
if it says both, you empower my point. Because
no, but in Luke it says
the first feast day.
Hold on, can I get a word out? In Luke it says the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which had become called the Passover. So it was originally the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and in fact, the Elephantine documents of the Jews and the Elephantine, they're practicing Passover with no lamb. So here's what I'm getting at. I want to get to a point.
You're a Hebrew. Hold on. You're a Hebrew
Israelite.
If I could let you respond, and I did.
So but I want to get your point of
do the same thing.
But you asked me for something I want to deliver.
No.
Yeah.
I just want to say this though. because you keep focusing on Feast of Unleavened Bread. The first feast of Israel is the Feast of Passover. You also have unleavened bread with the Passover. Then the very next sundown is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So if they combine them and say it, it still doesn't take away from them keeping the Passover and the unleavened bread, because they go in conjunction with each other.
That's
You
right.
can almost say it's continual. So it's not like there's a break in the Passover and unleavened bread.
Can I deliver your answer now?
Yes.
Because you wanted to talk about
book, chapter, verse for this.
I do got a book, chapter, verse.
Okay,
but what I'm going to do, and then I can be done, it's going to sound like I'm proof texting a little bit, but it's only because I got to get it all out fast. But I'm going to jump to a couple things real quick. So you mentioned the Passover being instituted in that way. However, Jeremiah 7:22, the prophet says, I did not speak to your fathers when I brought them out of Egypt, nor command them concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices. So Jeremiah is contradicting the idea that a lamb sacrifice was required by God when he called them out of Egypt. Now, Jesus is a big fan of Jeremiah. He's quoting Jeremiah. Like I said, Jeremiah 7:11. He's literally calling the priests in the temple a den of murderers, paritz, violent ones, shedders of blood. In fact, we know that because Ezekiel 18:10 defines the word paritz, a violent son, as a shedder of blood. It says it in there. There's no people being killed in the temple. It's hundreds of thousands of animals being killed in the temple. Jesus calls them a den of murderers for it. And now we have a Hebrew gospel of Matthew. Now, you as a Hebrew Israelite, I feel like should seek this out. Over 12 plus church fathers, all the way to the earliest ones, preserve fragments of this document. And in it, Jesus directly says, and they say it's the Jerome, the one who created the Latin Bible, the Common Bible, the whole reason that you even have a King James. He said it was believed to be the authentic Matthew written in Aramaic. And he says that Jesus said, I came to abolish the sacrifices, lest you cease sacrificing, wrath will not cease from you. I have no desire to eat the flesh of the Passover with you. Jesus' direct words from the Hebrew gospel of Matthew. Now, like I said, my brother Naviel, who gave me this shirt.
Wait, before you do that, before you get to Naviel, I just want to respond, because when you mentioned Jeremiah 7:22, and I know you want to end it here, it says, for I spake unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices. Right. When someone cherry picks and wants to push a lie of an agenda, they'll stop right there. When you read verse 23, it says, but this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your God, and 100%. You shall be my people. So the sacrifice. So why are you obeying his voice and stopping the sacrifice? What I just did for you was I was quiet, so you could get it all out. Okay. I didn't interrupt you on purpose, right? Yeah. Thank you. So now, when he's talking about the sacrifice that he talked about in 22 is when you disobey him. That's why verse 23 says, but this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice. The Passover is not about a sacrifice that I have to do because of a transgression that I committed. Yeah. The Passover is an ordinance to remember that the Lord destroyed the Egyptians, and the children of Israel had to put the blood on the door, had to make the unleavened bread because they had to leave fast. So that is a commandment of God. Yeah. So if you didn't keep the Passover, you were disobeying him. Yeah. So when Christ then says, I will not eat the Passover with you, he did not eat the Passover with them, but he did keep the Passover with his disciples. Yeah. What you were supposed to show is that Passover did not include lamb. I did. No, you did not. Yeah, in the Hebrew gospel of Matthew, he says, I have no desire to eat the flesh of Passover with you. With the flesh. The flesh of Passover with you. You're focusing on flesh. Yeah, the Passover lamb. That's what I'm talking about. There is no lamb. So Jeremiah 7:20. Just want to finish. You're talking about the flesh. When he says flesh with you, he's not talking to his disciples when he says that, because he kept the Passover with his disciples. No. He's talking about the Pharisees, the Sadducees. Yes, he is. That's why they kept it in the upper room. But he said, I came to abolish the sacrifices. Why didn't he keep it with everybody then? Why didn't he keep it with the rest of the Israelites then? Well, see, we got to get into historical record. You know why? Because he said, I will not eat the Passover with you. That's why he didn't keep it with them. He kept it with his brothers. Yeah, but what I'm getting at in context, it says, wrap it up. Okay. In context, it says from the Hebrew gospel, I came to abolish the sacrifices. He's echoing Jeremiah. And what you did is you accused me of proof texting Jeremiah 7:22 and that I didn't go on and read, but you proof texted yourself. There's nowhere in that verse that it says that sacrifice is okay if you obey. It doesn't. It says Jeremiah says Passover is not a sacrifice. Yes, it is. No, it's 100% not. 100% is considered a sacrifice. The Passover is a law. And when you read
The Passover is not a sacrifice. Only person who make that statement is somebody who does not know the Bible. The Passover was commemorated when the Most High freed Israel out of Egypt. He said, keep this Passover in remembrance when I freed you out of Egypt. You know what I mean? Christians do not know the Bible.
Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, these are the the Sabbath.
But it literally uses the word sacrifice in the Torah.
Let me finish. The Sabbath is a law. 7 days.
I agree.
On the seventh day you rest.
100%.
The Passover is a law. Feast of Unleavened Bread is a law. Day of Atonement is a law. Blowing the trumpets is a law. Tabernacles, those are laws. Those are not sacrifices.
Okay. So this is a bigger bone we got to pick. Because 10 laws. The laws of the 10 Commandments. That's the law. It's not all the extra.
It's not.
Huh? Yeah,
it's all the law.
Okay.
My second prompt is Christianity is a slave religion. The white man gave you Jesus to keep you oppressed.
Good to be with you here today. And
man, the nice guy comes up first.
Do I just start and just go into this? Okay. Well, hey, first of all, when we throw a lot of mud, we lose a lot of ground. So I love you, care about you. I'm an evangelical Christian, Protestant. I also am a Zionist.